We will get into the January solicits, and for some reason, they're not all in one article this month because, and maybe there's some other sites that have put them in one article, but we typically go to Newsarama. It's just the place we go for solicits. It's the place that typically has them. And they did this thing where they kind of did just the Future State Part 1, which was all the Bat-related books, and then did the Future State Part 2, which was all the Superman / Justice League, and for some reason Swamp Thing's included in Justice League. So really all it is Superman and the rest of the DCU, because the Bat family's so goddamn big that is half of the line. But anyway.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then, so you think, okay, so they put them out early, because sometimes they'll do a few early solicits, no big deal. But when we got to Friday and the rest of the solicits came out, they just put out an article that had just what was left. The Black Label, the trades, the other little things like Batman Adventures and the odds and ends.
Because when this Future State stuff happens in January, as we knew it was going to, everything else is taking 2 months off. Or everything else that's mainline DC is taking 2 months off.
Oh, then that explains why it's not all solicited in one article.
No, I meant explains why that final section, you said, it's just Black Label and stuff.
Oh, sure, yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing we hadn't mentioned yet. I mean, I don't know if we ever actually talked about this possibility. I think if you'd asked me last month, is this going to be something where we have no regular books for 2 months? I don't know what odds I'd have given you. I don't know if I'd have been 50-50, or if I'd have said, it's probably going to be like Convergence, there's going to be like nothing for 2 months as this all goes on. Or if it was going to be like, there's a bunch of miniseries, but most of the books will still be running.
I can tell you right now that would have been my reaction. Because we knew they were cancelling books. Books were ending, shall we say. We knew, we had teams that were like, doing some fill-ins. I thought, they'll, kind of like what they're doing for Endless Winter, they'll co-opt some of those books into just being the Future State mini things for, there'll be tie-ins or whatever. There'll be a handful of minis announced alongside it, and we'll still have the core handful of titles running. So this does actually surprise me that they went this route, because it's not like Convergence where there was a real world reason for it, where they were moving offices. It's not like, I think, because we did actually talk about this well over a year ago, the possibility of them taking a couple of months off for something after Metal. And the idea was it was before 5G, and it was going to be to let the creators get ahead, so they had lead time on all the new books. But most of the writers and artists involved with this are still just all the regular DC stable. They're all still working on books here, so it's not like they're getting time off from anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, whatever 5G was going to be is merged into, we're doing this, or this was always the plan before 5G, but we're doing this instead. Although I do think some of what 5G was is kind of part of this now, and it's remolded and it's changed, and now we've just got new arcs. We might just have some new books next, not next to the solicits, but the March's solicits might have a few new books, but it does say in their announcement page that, all these books that are going right now will be coming back with the numbering staying where it is. It's not changing, and
nothing is suddenly cancelled that we didn't know was already cancelled from the last solicits. It's not like, all these books are suddenly ending. It's like, no, like Justice League Dark, for example, will be picking back up at issue 30 odd or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, I do suspect a few new books. If not like a direct Supergirl replacement, for example, I do expect something that's filling that void in the line, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, and because Future State as a whole, we know does spin out of the ending of Metal. That has been confirmed by Snyder himself as well, I believe.
Yeah, so there's definitely going to be some universe spinning out of Future State, or
that's the assumption, right? Because the broad premise of Future State is a look at the possible future of the DC universe in the state of where it is after Metal. So I don't know if they're going to reset things and fix things in the way that we usually talk about, but I do think there will be some story reason at the end of Future State. I don't know what title it's going to be, because there doesn't seem to be. There's no main Future State book. There's no event, headlining thing. So I don't know where it'll be, but I imagine there will be something that gives us a reason to get back to the regular continuity.
Yeah, possibly. If it needs it. I mean, if it's not like we actually go to this alternate future, it's more just a relevant glimpse because of what's about to be going on in the main continuity coming after or something like that. I don't know. But a
lot of it feels like a lot of it, before we get into any of the details, it feels like market research in the sense of, okay, I think there's a lot of big changes to a lot of characters in this. I think if this had been 5G and they'd dropped all this at once, people would not have reacted well. It would have been possibly worse than the New 52 reaction with reset and everything. It would have just been too much at once. As a 2-month event, I think people can swallow that a lot easier. But I think they might use this to see which elements do people react positively to, and maybe kind of start working towards those over the next couple of years.
Well, I've got one right for you in the Batman book that I want them to work towards. We'll talk about that.
I know. As
Um,
soon as I saw it, I'd screenshotted that and say, "Oh, Pete's having a heart attack."
I do want to, even though I do think there'd be a reaction to it if they did like a line wide thing with all this stuff changing. It definitely would have a reaction. There would be negative components to it. I do think it would be a little different to New 52, just because New 52 was resetting things. This would be based more on here's how things change from wherever we are now.
Sure.
So at least on a personal level, I would say it inherently is far more, I guess, welcoming to me.
I get that. I think, and there is no individual part of this news that that I'm aware of. Maybe we'll read into the. I haven't really read into all of it. Maybe we'll read into a bit, and I'll disagree. But there's no individual part that stood out to me that I hate on its own. But I do think if this had been the quote unquote permanent status quo going forward, I think some of it might have lost me as well. Like, it would have been, and I'm open to change, but it might have been too much at once. For me to go, oh yeah, this is a lot.
Yeah, it'd be like anything. I think it'd be an interesting time trying to dive into it all. That said, though, the second we do read some of these things, or no, not some of these things, but if it was an ongoing thing from the start, the second we got to a book and a character had changed and we didn't like the book, it'd be like, oh god, can we have the old one back, please? Can we get it back immediately? Can we get Real Wonder Woman back anytime now? Thank you. That would maybe be like an issue with that. As it is, this seems like a far more interesting and consequential convergence. And what I mean by that is convergence, I took one glance at and went, nope, I can just take 2 months off from reading comics and come back because it feels like nothing but a filler couple of months. This feels less filler to me and more like it has a purpose. And maybe it is just the testing the waters of seeing what they can do with some characters. But it does feel like it has a bit more weight to it. Maybe it's just because there's good creators involved. Maybe it's just because I'm looking at some of these names on the main books and going, oh, hey, I actually want to read these.
No, you might be onto it. And that's what I'm saying, with Convergence, there was a purpose to it, but it was a very, real world purpose as, moving offices. There wasn't a story reason, really.
And to be fair, like, some of these main writers, I'm just looking at the Batman ones, for example, Tynion is not on that list. So there may still be an argument here that some of the regular like writers who are doing runs are still getting a little bit of time to.
Could be. I assume Tynion's doing books somewhere. I haven't looked into all of the teams. I kind of just skimmed. I assumed he's on a book somewhere.
And Dark Detective, which I assume is kind of the Detective Comics replacement for now, for these 2 months. That's not what's his face, Tomasi. So it could be that they are getting a little bit of time, even if they are writing the one short story in one of the anthology books somewhere.
I feel like some of these might be setting up not necessarily to continue these stories, although that's something there's a possibility, I think, but more just like Dark Detective you mentioned there is Mariko Tamaki with Dan Mora is doing a story that is seemingly continuing from what their story was in Detective 1027. So it kind of feels like, well, maybe there's going to be, maybe they're being groomed to take over Detective after Tomasi, in the next, year, handful of months down the line.
It is very possible. So what I'm going to do is there's a sort of paragraph at the top of the section in the main announcement. I'm going to read that and then switch over to just going through the books one by one. And Connor was confused before we started about why there's like a 4-issue books that don't seem to have an issue 2. He just didn't scroll far enough because issue 2 is just further down the list.
Why would they format it that way? Just put the 2 issues together.
Because they put it in order that they're coming out, seemingly.
Shambles.
Connor was too lazy to control F. He just didn't look for issue 2, thinking...
I'm sorry, I didn't control F Batman in the Batman Solicits.
The book has a title. You could have control F next Batman, and it would have given you the next issue. It's not
Look,
rocket science.
I'm sorry that Newsarama broke from their established format, not just in splitting it into 3 stupid articles instead of 1, they're going for these clicks, the damn Games Radar, but also now that they're breaking from their format of keeping the issues together. This is just terrible.
Okay, anyway, Bat Family paragraph. In this future, Gotham City is controlled by the Magistrate. This villainous regime has taken control of the city, now under constant surveillance. All mass vigilantes have been outlawed, and Batman has been killed. But led by an all-new Batman, a new assembly of Gotham's Guardians rise up to give hope to all those who lost it. So that's just a sort of general kind of setting here. But I'm going to go through the books one by one now, the issues one by one. So first up on January 5th is the next Batman issue 1, and this is a 4-issue, so it's double shipping for the 2 months, because all this is just over 2 months. And this is going to make next month's solicits really boring, because next month's solicits are just going to be the other half of all these things. Maybe with some one-shots that are different to, make it more exciting. But
pretty much, yeah.
But so it's worth mentioning that some of these main books, not all of them, some of them are regular size, regular price, but a lot of these main books, so this one is a $8 64-page book, which has like what, 3 or 4 like stories?
Three stories in this one, I believe.
In this one, yeah. And then, but there's like 5 stories overall, so clearly it's going to bounce around some of the other stories. In this next Batman book, you've got the next Batman by John Ridley and Nick Derriton, which obviously is going to continue onwards. And John Ridley, of course, his Batman story has been teased for a while. You've got Outsiders, written by Brandon Thomas, with art by Sumit Kumar. And then you've got Arkham Knights, written by Paul Jenkins and art by Jackson Herbert. So it's an interesting format.
I'm familiar
here
with a lot of the others there. After the first story, I don't really know any names there.
It's an interesting format in here to me to essentially have going for the page count, it's essentially 3 full issues of different stories.
It seems to be, yeah, you're right.
Playing out over 4 issues. So rather than having, 5 3-issue miniseries, we're getting 1 giant 4-issue miniseries instead. It's a interesting. I mean, if you're going to buy all of them, this would definitely be saving money. But if you weren't interested in all of them, this is making you spend more. So
there's an argument that it's pro-consumer in one way, like you say, but also that it is removing that choice in the other end, and it does seem like it's going to be a pretty expensive couple of months if you want to dive into this properly.
It is worth mentioning there are less. Assuming let's say you were buying 70% of the line. If you buy 70% of the line in January and February, you are buying less books. So they are costing more, but there is less of them. Which also it seems to be something that DC are veering towards a little bit as well, as bigger, oversized books, but less of them. So that's the next Batman. I'm not going to read all the descriptions for all of the individual stories, because we'll be here forever if I do that. Next up, same day, is Future State Harley Quinn issue 1. This is regular size, regular price. This is a 2-issue book, so 1 issue January, 1 issue February. Simple enough. Also dealing with the Magistrate. So it feels like all the Gotham books are all going to be dealing with this Magistrate stuff.
And I think what's interesting is, I don't know if you didn't mention the team on that one, I don't think. Written by Stephanie Phillips and art by Simone DeMeo. What I think is interesting is the final line of the solicit mentions written by Rising Star, and the next era of Harley Quinn begins here. And obviously Harley does not have an ongoing book right now that ended with 75, I think.
That's something that we said a couple of months ago, is when we were looking at some of the teases that we're doing for some of these books, but it was particularly more to do with the one-shots that got coming out in December and the start of January, because there's a couple of stuff in that first week of January that was already solicited in December, keep in mind. I remember saying that some of these writers on some of these characters in Future State and some of those one-shots might actually end up being the writers on new ongoings for those characters afterwards. They might actually be the seeds being planted for that. So this being the seed for the new Harley series would not surprise me.
Yeah.
At all. And then January 12th, Future State Dark Detective issue 1. So this is kind of your Detective Comics replacement. So this is going to alternate with the next Batman book. And just like next Batman, it's oversized, although it's not as big. This one's a $5.99 book at 48 pages. It has 2 stories in it. You got Dark Detective, written by Mariko Tamaki and Dan Mora with the art, and that is a wonderful team. I'm all for that. You've got Grifter, which is written by Matthew Rosenberg and art by Carmine Di Domenico. And Rosenberg's someone who I've been a fan of his Marvel work. So
yeah, we spoke about this a couple episodes ago, I think. When he was on another book, probably maybe one of the Endless Winter things, perhaps something recently that he was on the DC, and we kind of spoke about how it was interesting seeing him, kind of come over to this side for a bit.
Yeah, and Jean-Paul Leon variant cover, I'm also on board with. Pretty much it, always. Same day as that, you got Future State, Robin Eternal, issue 1. And that is the regular price, regular size, 2-issue book. So issue 1 January, issue 2 February. That's McGann Fitzmartin writing with Eddie Barrows on the art. I'm not.
It's just Megan. That's the American spelling.
What's the H for?
I don't know.
Hey, some people might say McGann.
They don't. It's just me. It's Megan.
Hey, Miss Martian is McGann.
Yes, that has an apostrophe.
Still, I'm going with McGann. All right, piss off. Leave me alone. So yes, this is your Robin 2-issue book.
I don't know which Robin it is. Do you?
I'm not familiar with Fitzmartin. It looks like Damien on the cover to me, but I mean,
I'm just reading the solicit. It apparently it's Tim.
Oh, it's Tim.
I did not have that pegged as Tim.
It looks more Damien-esque in the cover. I mean, the hair and even just his height and stuff. But again, there's not a lot to for scale, admittedly. But
yeah,
it looks more thingy to me.
I agree.
So I mean, it's worth mentioning. So even though some of these books are very big, it seems to only be about 2 a week. Well, at least to the Batman. Obviously, once we add in the Superman books, I might go up to 4.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, adding that and then a handful of Black Label books, that there might be a reasonable amount each week. I don't know.
Yeah, but how many Black Label books do we realistically get a week? It seems to me that the max we're going to have a week is 6 books, just based on what we've read so far.
We'll find out. Yeah.
Next up, Future State, next Batman issue 2. That's January 19th, so we're at the 3rd week of the Bat books. So more next Batman, and then more importantly, Batgirls, written by Vita Yalea and art by Aniki, I'm not sure how you pronounce that name, I do apologize. But what have I been asking for the last 4 goddamn years?
Yeah, and it does confirm in the solicits that it is Cass and Steph.
Oh, baby, it's Christmas.
Yeah, and the other story as well, we have a Gotham City Sirens story with by Paula Sevenbergen and Emmanuel Lupacino.
Sevenbergen. You got to say it like a Swedish person. Sevenbergen. No?
Did they put extra H's in?
I don't know.
I feel like you've just kind of thrown that in out of nowhere.
Sevenbergen. I don't know. I can just see like a Swedish person saying that really quickly. Yes, and Lupacino on the art, of course, on that one. So again,
it's interesting to me out of those issues so far. The next Batman is the one that's presumably going to be in each issue of the 4.
I'll be curious,
and then it'll be 2 each for the other stories. Yeah,
I'll be curious to see if it just matches in the next month, so that the first issue will have part 2s of the other 2 in the first one, and then part 2 of Batgirls and Gotham City Sirens will be in
kind of my expectation right now.
It hooks you though if you really just want one of them. It's hooking you for at least one of the other issues. Yeah. And if you're going to have like 3 parts of next Batman because you've already bought 1 and 2, well, you might as well buy the other one too, so you can read the whole of that story.
Yeah, the idea is, well, maybe you don't care about next Batman for whatever reason. Really, what you want is Batgirls, and then you have to buy 2 and 4. But then the temptation is, well, you've got all of Gotham City Sirens, so you might as well read that. And then you're like, well, now I kind of want to try next Batman because I've got half the story.
Might be genius, honestly, when you think about it. So notably though, this is the same size, same price as the other issue, so it isn't going down after issue 1 or anything like that. So it's going to be consistent.
All 4 issues presumably are going to be this triple size.
So then you got Future State Catwoman on the same day, January 19th. Ram V writing, Otto Schmidt on art. Notably, this is the artist, or the writer that's on the regular book. It's cool. And it's been also Schmidt on something, now I'm thinking about it. So that's cool.
He's been off doing Marvel work, I think, for a while.
The traitor.
In fact, I think I've just been reading him on the Hawkeye book that Rosenberg wrote, Freefall.
Oh, interesting. So this is, again, kind of in line. And I like this system, now that I'm looking through this, is that the big book seems to be accompanied by a regular size book every week, at least in this family. So this is regular size, 2 issues,
Yeah.
There's a clear pattern here emerging. Although there's actually a 3rd one that I spoke to soon. Same day, January 19th, Future State Nightwing issue 1. Again, 2 issues, regular sized. But I mean, again, it's regular size versus, so it's not like they're putting it like, at least in the Bat family. I'm assuming there's going to be a big Superman book to go with it, but at least there's not going to be like multiple big Bat books and multiple big Justice League Superman books. So this is Andrew Constant writing with art by Nicholas Scott. Nicholas Scott on Nightwing, and I have to say that cover that I'm seeing there, which I think is probably the Putri cover.
Yeah, the Scott covers the variant, which is also very nice.
Oh, they're both good actually.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Nicholas Scott on Nightwing. Obviously, she's
I have to say I'm liking that Nightwing outfit. It's just got a little bit of the shoulder paddy kind of thing going for it.
Yeah. I'm not feeling the chin strap, admittedly.
The chin strap, yeah, I could take or leave, but I'm liking just a little bit of the armor look to the blue parts.
Yeah. I would expect a very sexy Nightwing look. Essentially, I mean, Nicholas Scott is the one that started the whole Nightwing's ass running gag. That's from her art.
Mm.
So I would expect more along those lines.
And then we get to January 26th, which has Future State Batman Superman issue 1 with Jean Lun Yang writing with Ben Oliver on the art. That's cool. Again, that's regular size, 2 issues, simple stuff. Also January 26th. Why didn't put this first this time? This is the only time they put the bigger book second in the solicits.
Yeah, I don't know why.
But Future State Dark Detective issue 2 is January 26th, as expected, which has Dark Detective continued by Tamaki and Mora. And then the second story in this one, again, alternating, much like obviously the other book, is Red Hood, written by Joshua Williamson and art by Giannis Milo de Gigannis. It's for some long name.
Do you know what I'm going to tell you? I'm going to make it easy for you. It's Greek. It's a Greek name. Oh, so I don't know how to say it, but he's actually Greek.
So it's an ancient name, and therefore ancient Greek names are stupid.
This is the artist I really like. He did Ronin Island with Pac, I think at Boom. You read a couple of issues of that, I think, Pete?
Yeah. I'll refer to him simply as G. Me and G are good buddies. I'll call him G.
That seems fair. I mean, it's really conflicting that because it's like Red Hood, but then it's Williamson and this artist G, as we shall say, who I do really like. So that's frustrating.
You're going to have the book out because you're going to be reading the Tamaki stories, so
that's true. So
you might as well.
Yeah.
So that wraps up the Bat books for the month of January, the Bat family books, I should say. So, it's not actually as much as I thought it was going to be when I sort of glanced at the article. I was like, okay, so it's like a big book each week and a little book, but that 1 week exception of having a third.
I'm kind of waiting to see how much is on the other family.
We're about to find out. So, Superman family, the paragraph at the top of this one's a bit bigger, so let me read this. Due to his involvement in an international crisis happening in the near future, Clark Kent has been rejected by Earth, causing him to focus on his life-saving efforts outside his adopted home. He travels to Warworld to rise through the ranks of gladiatorial combat in order to defeat Mongol with the help of some unlikely heroes. Back in Metropolis, Clark's son John has taken on the mantle of Superman. After seeing the horrors that befell Gotham, he bottles Metropolis in order to keep it safe, putting him at odds with Supergirl. Connecting the two... actually, I won't read that part because we'll just get to that in the solicits. But, no. Interesting.
Yeah. And I will say, Newsarama is terrible at formatting this because this time the comics in the solicits are not in order of when they come out, or at least if they are, they're just kind of all over the place.
Well, we'll just take it as it comes. So, first up here, very pretty cover for Future State Kara Zor-El Superwoman issue 1. That's an interesting title. Margaret Bennett writing with Margaret Savage. Probably said that wrong. On the art. That's regular size, 2 issues. You can kind of guess this with some of these. Just kind of you can see what the main 2 books are going to be. You got Future State Superman of Metropolis. Oh, okay, actually, I should mention what that first one is. That first one is on the 12th of January, so that's week 2. So yeah, these are just out of order. So the next book up is Future State Superman of Metropolis issue 1. So this is their Superman replacement. This is a $6, 48-page book. Main story, Superman of Metropolis, written by Sean Lewis and art by John Timms. And then you've got 2 other stories in this one. The Guardian, written by also Sean Lewis, with art by Kelly Hammer. And then Mr. Miracle, written by Brandon Easton, with art by Valentine D. Landro. Sorry. So
just to say, it's Cully Hamner. It's an N, not 2 M's. I know he has a personal pet hatred of that. So just in case he catches this, I apologize on Pete's behalf.
I'm not going to lie. When you glance at that name, it looks like 2 M's.
He gets quite annoyed. I know because he goes like actual cons and they'll put up like on their like their guides of the map to where everyone is, and they'll put it with 2 M's.
See, part of me wants to be a dick and call him Cully MC Hammer now, just to really drive it home.
I'm sure he's heard it before.
So much like the Bat books, this one, it's not an $8 book. Maybe that's going to be the one outlier of being that big, unless the Justice League one coming up is. But
I think what's interesting about this compared to the Bat book is this is smaller, so it's 48 pages, so it's double instead of the triple.
It's the same size. It's the same size as the Detective one.
It is, but this has 3 stories in it, whereas the smaller Detective one only had 2.
This is true.
So each story is going to be a bit shorter.
I would probably go further and say that the main story will probably be regular size, and then the other 2 will be a bit shorter. That'd be my guess, but I mean,
very possible.
Could go either way, especially with one of them being written by the same writer as the main story. I could see that being a little bit on the shorter side.
And this one does have some connective tissue, because just at the end of the solicit, this is the bit of the paragraph you didn't quite get to on the other one. It mentions the current Mr. Miracle, Shiloh Norman, is in the bottle and is looking for a way out. But this story continues in Superman Worlds of War, which we'll get to.
I think all the super books are going to have some connective tissue. I think all the Bat books will have some connective tissue. But the Bat books have the Magistrate stuff. This clearly has the connections between Warworld and Metropolis being bottled, and
this seems a little bit more direct as opposed to just they're in the same scenario. This has a direct this will continue in a different book.
Oh sure, but I'm kind of assuming that when we actually read the Bat books, that eventually there's going to be a lot more.
There might well be
ties between them. Just not right away. Next up, Future State Superman versus Imperious Lex. I would say Emperor Lex. Imperious Lex. So this is regular sized issue. Interestingly, one of 3. This is a 3-issue book, so clearly there's going to be a double ship in one of the ones. We'll find out if it's this one. But this is Mark Russell writing with Steve Pugh on the art.
This is on the 26th.
Yeah, so you're a fan of Pugh, so it'll have to be February then. It's double shipping, obviously, if this is at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Regular size though, $4, 32 pages.
It makes sense if you're going to double ship it in the second month to start this one late, because then you can still do it every 2 weeks.
Yeah, it feels like it's every other week, at that point.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Then we have Future State Superman Worlds of War, which is the one that was mentioned. I assume this is still a big one. It is indeed. Although notably, this is only 2 issues, so this is the $8 equivalent to the Bat book, but there's only 2 of them, so it's just 1 per month, I assume. We'll find out if I'm wrong as we go, but so the stories in here are Superman Worlds of War by Philip Kennedy Johnson with art by Mikel Janin. So,
yes, please.
Nice art on that, at least.
Philip Kennedy Johnson is writing the Last God, which is the grimdark fantasy book from Black Label that you like to overlook in the solicits. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Liking that I overlook it would imply that I notice it exists. It does not live rent free in my mind. I'm sorry to say. Midnighter is a second story written by Michael W. Conrad with art by Becky Cloonan.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Co-written by Becky Cloonan.
Co-written by Becky Cloonan. Yes, I saw my mistake as I was reading it. All right, give me a split second to actually address what I just said. Okay. Sometimes my mouth moves faster than my brain's functioning. I have to get to the end of my sentence and recalibrate.
You need to drink more Monster or Rockstar, whatever it is you've got at the minute.
I don't drink Rockstar, right? I'm not a chump. Okay, Rockstar is piss water. Okay.
I don't disagree.
Absolute piss water. Okay. And then the third story is Black Racer, written by Jeremy Adams and art by Sia. I'm probably butchering that name, so I do apologize.
Just to say, the art on Midnight was Gleb Milkinoff.
And notably, there is actually the fourth story is Mr. Miracle, so that actually is directly just having another chapter in this book.
Yeah.
Brandon Easton, Valentine D'Alondro again on the art. So that's interesting. That's maybe a little. So unlike the Bat books, there's not going to be like 4 of each. There's 4 of one and 2 of the other in Superman. But notably, they're being a little bit cheeky and having a story that's going through all of them, so that you might have to buy them all.
It's interesting because as much as that Mr. Miracle starts in the other issue and then kind of comes into here, these books feel a little less connected than the Gotham ones by the nature of, we're dealing with Superman out on Warworld, but also, John and Kara back on Earth. It feels like there's 2 very different sections of the Superman family going on.
And if you ever wanted your sexy pin-up, Hercules-looking Superman outfit, the cover's got it for you.
Yeah, it's that's the artist on that Last God book who does that cover.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, very like kind of painted style. Alex Ross-esque, I would say.
Hmm. And then next up, we got Future State Superman Wonder Woman issue 1. This is a regular size, 2 issues. Dan Waters writing with Leela Del Duca, maybe Ducha, on the art.
Ducha, yeah.
So I'm just actually trying to see who the Wonder Woman is in this, because
That is Yara Flor. She's the new one that's in. We'll get to it in the Wonder Woman book.
Okay, so this is not something I should know from before. Good. Future State Justice League issue 1 is next, and this is another oversized book, not the $8 though, $6 variety, 48 pages. A couple of different stories here. We got Justice League, just Justice League, written by Joshua Williamson, with art by Robson Roca and Daniel Henrique. And then we've got Justice League Dark, written by Ram V, with art by Marcio Takara. So that's obviously the current Justice League Dark writer.
That's great. I would say we should probably take a quick break and read the paragraph for the Justice League.
Oh, is there a separate paragraph on the thing? I didn't realize.
Yes. There's the Justice League family still.
Here we go. Okay. Sorry, separate batch here. A thread of great changes runs through the Justice League heroes. A new league is built upon secret identities, even from each other. But an old and evolved enemy will use these secrets to try and overthrow the world. For the supernatural heroes of Justice League Dark, the very fabric of reality has shifted, and heroes are being hunted. For Flash, Shazam, and the Teen Titans, it all begins with the 4 Riders of the Apocalypse unleashing hell in the battle at Titans Academy. Barry Allen is cut off from the Speed Force. A famine-controlled Wally West may be beyond saving, and Billy Batson makes a deal with the devil that will change Shazam forever. Off-world, Jon Stewart and the remaining Green Lanterns are stranded in the shadow of a dead power battery. Jackson Hyde and Andy Curry are separated across the galaxy, and Amanda Waller executes her ultimate plan with a new but terrifyingly familiar Suicide Squad on Earth 3. At the end of time, Swamp Thing reveals its true intention, ruling supreme until the remnant of humanity launches a rebellion, and Black Adam looks to the past as the only way to save the future of the multiverse. So obviously, that's a bit of a catch-all because there's so many characters to cover in terms of what we're talking about.
Black Adam sounds surprisingly interesting in terms of kind of perhaps being more important than that it kind of just suggests there in terms of getting back to the status quo at the end of this event, possibly.
Maybe Black Adam's the reason why it does get back to normal, if it is indeed something that should be fixed. The cover of this Justice League is really interesting, seeing sort of like who's on it, if we can even tell who some of them are, but that definitely looks like Joe is the Green Lantern there.
It is. It's Joe and John. Obviously, this is the new woman, Wonder Woman. Sorry, and the new Batman. Presumably, this is the Luke Fox Batman. What we didn't mention really in the Batman Solicits is the Dark Detective shows a completely different Batman as well. So we have 2 Batmen running around.
Okay. So this could be the second Batman.
No, I think this is the Luke Fox one.
This is the Luke Fox one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Actually, I'll read this list of this one because it seems like it actually tells us who. So, starring John Kent as Superman, Yara Flor as Wonder Woman, Joe Mullen as Green Lantern, Andy Curry as Aquawoman. Oh, that's his daughter. I just realized who Andy.
Yeah, did you not realize?
Yeah, I just clicked. Oh, she's a redhead and everything. Yeah, she's taking after her mother.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say.
A new Flash from the multiverse and Redacted as Batman. I don't know.
That's because they still officially haven't told us that Luke Fox is going to be a Batman, although everyone kind of knows, right?
That makes me
thinking about it for months.
That could be the other one, just because I don't know. I feel like they know we know, so it seems weird for them to.
I would agree, but the other one you can see like half of his face.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right, and then you got Future State Aquaman issue 1. This is a regular size, price, 2 issues. Writing by Brandon Thomas, art by Daniel Sempier. This is yes.
Yeah. 26th.
I don't have much to add on it.
No.
Then we got Future State The Flash issue 1. This is regular size, 2 issues, written by Brandon VA and art by Dale Eaglesham. So
I like Eaglesham.
Yeah. And this is Wally West that's in this, so that's
with a gorgeous Carrie Andrews variant, I will say.
Yes. Although it does look like Wally West is a bit evil in this.
Well, that was implied in that paragraph, which is kind of I rolled my eyes at that point because I'm like, God damn it, again already.
I mean, we'll see what they're doing. I don't know. But VA, we're looking at you.
I mean, with no powers, no backup, and no other choice, Barry Allen and the other former Flashes face the deadliest threat they've ever encountered, Wally West.
This bothers me less than Heroes in Crisis, though, because it's like a weird future thing that we're going to undo.
I get that. I feel kind of how you were talking about with Babs kind of just being the token woman, a few weeks ago. I kind of feel that here with Wally West. Like, in a vacuum, this wouldn't be a problem, and this does inherently bother me less than Heroes in Crisis because this one doesn't matter really, but it's just again already. I just want a goddamn Wally West story.
Yep. Well. Next up, we actually have another oversized book, 48 pages, $6. Green Lanterns, taken up here. This is just Future State Green Lantern issue 1, nothing fancy. First story is called The Last Lanterns by Jeffrey Thorne and art by Tom Rainey. And then we have The Book of Guy, written by Ernie Altbacker. Yeah. We got The Last Lanterns by art by Clayton. Wait, I'm confused here. There's no artist for The Book of Guy and there's no writer for The Last Lanterns. Is this a mistake?
I assume that it could be a case of the.
I get the feeling here that this is actually the team. That Ernie and Clayton here are going to be the team on The Book of Guy or The Last Lanterns. One of those is the wrong title. That's what I'm going to guess.
I think The Book of Guy, because it's only this second Last Lanterns that seems to be the mistake.
Okay. So then you have The Taking of Sector 123. Which is a fantastic pun, and if you've not heard of the movie, The Taking of Pelham 123, it's a play on that. Written by Ryan Cady and art by Sami Basri. So I guess it's nice for Green Lantern to get maybe a little oversized treatment as well.
It'll be the most Green Lantern you've read in years.
It literally will, yes. It will. And it's interesting, this is how we're getting Joe in some way into the mix with the rest of the characters. Even though it's not present day continuity, it is kind of interesting.
I don't think Joe's in this issue.
Oh, I wasn't even implying that. I just meant in general with the Justice League stuff.
These stories, we've got the John Stewart Trapped, we mentioned that. It mentions Jessica Cruz versus Sinestro Corps, and then Guy Gardner decided to reopen the Warriors Bar, the three stories.
And then we have Future State Immortal Wonder Woman issue 1, and I have to say this is the first one out of all of these, I think, where I definitely do not prefer the variant over the main cover. I think the main cover is gorgeous, and then
that's because the main cover is Jen Bartel, and it's freaking fantastic.
Usually the variants will at least go blow for blow, if not be better, and I don't like that variant.
I don't dislike the variant. It's a very different style, but Bartel is like one of the top cover artists working in the industry right now, and she's actually on interiors in this issue as well, which is exciting. Much
like the Green Lantern one, this is also oversized, only 2 issues though, $6, 48 pages. You have Immortal Wonder Woman by Michael W. Conrad and Becky Coonan, with art by Jen Bartel. And then you have Nubia, written by L.L. McKinney and art by Aletha Martinez and Mark Morales. So, I think it makes sense that Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, and Justice League get, maybe not the $8 books, but they get their own $6.
Yeah, and I believe there's another Wonder Woman book somewhere coming up, because there's one that's about the new Wonder Woman, because this is Diana still, this issue.
Sure. I just meant it was nice for those characters to also get that prestige of having.
They deserve that, yeah.
The one shots. If anything, I feel
just like the team on the next issue. Sorry.
If anything, I feel like Flash is the one that's maybe a missing one at this point, unless one pops up. Future State Legion of Superheroes issue 1 is next, and it's Brian Michael Bendis and Riley Rosmo, regular size, 2 issues.
It's like, what team can you throw at a book that will make me absolutely despise it?
I've got a funny feeling I know what one of our patrons is going to make you read in January.
No, look, they've got so much choice that they could make me read. So much stuff.
Yeah, we should mention there is a size limit. I mean, he's going to read the $8 Batman book anyway, but the $8 books would actually be over the limit. But as long as it's under the that $6 page count, you're good.
Yeah, like 48 pages.
That's fine. Annual size is fine for those Patreon books, but this one's a regular size though, so this is fine. You're maybe getting less for your money's worth than page count, but I mean, the hatred per page is going to be off the charts.
It's true.
I may not even read this one.
Oh, don't do that to me.
It'll just be Connor reading it.
You got to read it. This might be the capper to Bendis's Legion run.
I've already
For all
stopped
we
reading.
know.
I've already stopped reading it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Next up, we got Future State Shazam issue 1, regular size, two issues. I have to say, I love that variant cover. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely gorgeous. This is Tim Sheridan writing with Eduardo Pansica on the art. And, you know, it encourages me that this and a couple of other books, you know, the Superwoman book with Kara, it does encourage me that some of these books that recently ended are getting these minis here to maybe suggest that there is a plan for them going forward, that they're not just being abandoned for good.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Again, just reading the solicit. I'm not going to read it all, but it mentions in a story set years after the events of Future State Teen Titans. So this is a weird follow-on to another one of these future states. So it's even further in the future, which I think is interesting because, okay, maybe not all of these books are happening at the same time. Maybe there are others that are a little bit different as well.
Sure, maybe.
Potentially interesting. Maybe like that Justice League book where it said that, you know, they didn't, you know, necessarily all know each other's identities. For example, maybe they don't know who Batman is, but then in the Batman Superman book might be set after that, and they do know each other now by that point. Could be interesting.
Yeah. And then after that, we have Future State Suicide Squad issue 1. And this is a $6. Do you know what? This one, if you'd asked me to predict which ones were going to get the $6 treatment, Suicide Squad would have been borderline. I don't know if I'd have picked it in the list.
I think it's like plausible enough because they love to kind of sell Suicide Squad.
I get
it's been like an ongoing book for like a decade at this point, right?
I wouldn't have predicted this was one of the ones that got a $6 book, but I'm not surprised it does either. It's kind of on that weird line where I can see it going either way. But anyway, main story is just called Suicide Squad, written by Robbie Thompson, art by Javi Fernandez, and then we have Black Adam, written by Jeremy Adams and art by Fernando Pasarin. So, well as a couple of the main writers, Ram V is the one who's sticking out to me for the most part, to be honest. Other than that, I'm not seeing a lot of the regular teams on these. Maybe Bendis on the Legion book, I suppose. But
yeah, what's interesting about this one is Pasarin has been doing Hawkman, and obviously, you know, Black Adam has a lot of history with Hawkman. Just to make it interesting, you know, we talked about maybe this would be the one that kind of linked back. This seems to be set way further in the future because this is, you know, Black Adam rules the planet Kandak in the 853rd century.
Oh, interesting. Well, I mean, it seems like all the Bat books and Super books are in correlation with each other. Maybe some of these other Justice League books and solo characters are a bit more separate and are just whatever.
Yeah.
You know, wherever they want to set them. And then next up, we have Future State Swamp Thing, which is 2 issues, regular size. Ram V on Swamp Thing. Now, this I can get behind.
Ram V and Mike Perkins, who did the wraparound.
Mike
so
Perkins.
if you liked their stuff in that issue last week, then here's more of that for you.
Yes.
And I believe this has Etrigan in it. One of the things that Ram V is doing has Etrigan in it because he was tweeting about it, and I was excited.
I mean, I don't particularly give a shit about Etrigan. I don't dislike Etrigan. He's fine, but I'm not. So it's not something
Give me
that excites
all
me.
of the Etrigan.
Sometimes the rhyming can get on my nerves a little bit. There we have Future State Teen Titans issue 1, regular size, 2 issues. Tim Sheridan writing with Rafa Sandoval on the art.
Yeah, this has been getting some attention just because it's introducing Red X, who was a character from the Teen Titans Go TV show and hasn't made their way to comics yet.
Interesting. So. And then we have Future State Wonder Woman, not to be confused with Immortal Wonder Woman, which was the one from earlier. This is regular size, 2 issues, but it is Joelle Jones, both writing and art. And of course, this is the new Wonder Woman that it's focusing on. And that does wrap up the Future State solicits. So there was quite a lot in there. I hate that this didn't put them in order, so I could just sort of group them by week in my head as we were going.
Yeah, I feel like I want to just like jot them down quickly and see how bad it actually looks.
I don't think it's too bad. I feel
it's
like
hard to say.
Hold on a sec. I'll do it. See, unlike Connor before the start of this, I know how to use Control Find. So I'm going to.
Oh, you gotta do each date.
We're just going to do the first one. I'm not going to do all of them. I'm not mad. What's the first Wednesday or Tuesday?
I think it's the 5th.
The 5th. Okay, it's the 5th. Yes. Right. So Now we know the Bat books because it's easy to remember. It was one oversized book, one regular size book. For these books, we have the $6 Superman book on that day. We have the regular priced Flash book. We have the regular price Swamp Thing book. The regular price Wonder Woman book, and that's it. So that's your first week.
So that's about 5 or 6 issues.
One supersized in the Bat book, one oversized Superman book, and then 4 regular size.
4 more, yeah.
That sounds reasonable to me.
That's a healthy amount to read, because that's assuming you read all of them.
It's healthy, but it's not like, oh my god, what is this week?
Yeah, it's about 9 issues worth of content. I think it breaks down to that particular week. Maybe some other weeks will be a bit more. I don't know.
There could be at least one Black Label book that week too, but we'll get to that in a minute. But
yeah,
but in terms of the main line, it is less books overall. Now, admittedly, because we are nuts and we're going to be more tempted to try most of these, I imagine it might actually end up that we read more, but that's just because we're mad and we like this stuff. But
there's a lot of creators I don't know, which means that I can't go, oh, I don't want to read that because I don't like this person. Yeah,
you have to take a risk, and
I've got to take the gamble. Yeah,
and sometimes it'll pay off, and sometimes it will not, and you'll learn some lessons.
But we'll know. I can't even say for sure I'll know for the future, because one example isn't really enough to rule someone out entirely, unless it's atrocious.
Yes, for patrons of paying attention, there's a Bendis Rosmo book, which I think Connor
there's not. That will be forgotten about by January.
So just to dive into the rest of the solicits that are separate from all this, it's mostly other things. So for example, we got American Vampire 1976 issue 4. That's continuing. Not much to say. Batman Black and White issue 2. I forgot this was a thing.
Yeah, with David Aja is doing a story in this one.
This is this is issue 2 of 6 is what I'm trying to say. And the $6 book, obviously it's an anthology style. We got Tom King, Gabriel Hardman, Karina Beckel, David Aja, Sophie Campbell, and Dustin Weaver, all the writing stories. We also got art by Mitch Gerrards, Gabriel Hardman. I do like Hardman's art, actually. I don't know whether his name came up recently, but I did come up recently because I remember praising the Green Lantern Earth 1 book.
It did come up recently, I remember that. Unless it was in issue 1 of this and he's got a second story, I don't know.
Yeah. In fact, notably, the rest of the names here, with the exception of Gerrards, who's presumably with Tom King, the rest of them are, for the most part, just the same people doing their own art. So,
which is actually very common in the Batman Black and White of old. It was often the artists getting a chance to tell a short story of their own. Which
I get it, because, I mean, it's kind of an artist-focused concept in a weird way. That said, though, they should let Tom King draw his own story, you cowards. So... We got Batman The Adventures Continue, issue 8. Oh, that's continuing. You got Batman The White Knight Presents Harley Quinn, issue 4. So that's continuing. Batman Catwoman is going on during this, so that's not pausing, which makes sense. It's Black Label, it's out of continuity.
Because it is Black Label, but it feels more connected, right, than some of the others. I mean, in the same way that Strange Adventures does.
Yeah, I'd say it feels even more connected than that, in the sense that maybe it's not technically outright continuity, but it does feel like a possible ending continuity to his Batman run. If you want to accept this as your ending, this will function there.
It feels almost like because Bendis did this with Daredevil, right? Where he did obviously a pretty healthy Daredevil run, and then he came back a few years later and did I don't know what that story was called, but he did one set in the future. It was
End of Days, I think, or something like that.
End of Days, yeah. It was almost like a Dark Knight Returns style like ending for the outcome of maybe his Daredevil.
Yeah. But apparently Phantasm's been teased for other things as well coming up, so I guess we're getting Phantasm properly in comics coming soon. Not to be confused with the movie Phantasm, although I would enjoy that.
I watched that for the first time last week, and it was rather good.
It's fantastic. Oh, the music's so good.
The music was... Do you know what? I've never heard anyone talk about the music in Phantasm. I just hear, it's the Silver Bolt. That's all I knew about it, and that people liked it. And then the music was so good.
And then the second one, the aliens is it up and it turns into like an action theme. It's great.
Do you know what? Annoyingly, I don't think Shudder has the second one. It's got like 3, 4, and 5, but not the second one.
Yeah, two was Universal, so 2's rights always end up being different.
Bastards. Do I need to watch 2?
Yeah, 2's good.
God damn it.
It's good in a different way, though. Phantasm 2 is kind of like Aliens to Alien.
But what I mean is when you get to like Phantasm 3 then and onwards... Is it like you probably should have watched 2, or is it more like this is closer to 1?
You should watch 2 because it's easily the second best one.
All right, good answer.
And 3's the third best one, and then after that is
Just don't bother, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean 5 was dreadful, and 4 is like mostly deleted scenes from the first one, and it feels like it.
Really? That's
yeah. They
bizarre.
basically they had like hours and hours of deleted footage because when they shot the first one, and they basically formed a story around him remembering stuff. So it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting though because it's all this footage of him still as a kid, even though he's an adult now. So it's kind of impressive in that sense. Like, oh hey, this is so weird. They actually have all this real footage of him, in character at this age still that we've never seen before.
It's unique,
but it's still not really a movie.
not very good, is what you're saying.
And 5 is just a complete mess. 3 was a lot more fun than I remembered though when I watched it like last year or so.
I'll maybe track down 2 and then jump onto 3 and kind of maybe stop there.
I mean 2 is the one that has the formation of the quadruple barrel shotgun, and you're going to be so confused in 3 if you don't see how that thing is formed. So
will I? I'll be so confused by the fact that there is a quadruple barrel shotgun. I can't just take that as fact.
You need the montage of where he duct tapes the 2 shotguns together. It's important.
When you said formation, I thought this was like some super impressive thing, not duct tape. I could have duct tape them together.
I'm exaggerating. It's not actual. He actually makes like a handle for it so you can cock them at the same time. So there's a bit more to it than just duct tape.
Do they look duct taped?
No, it looks good. It looks good. Anyway, Deceased Dead Planet issue 7. So that's wrapping up in January. Believe it or not. So obviously there's no need to describe what that is. It's more Deceased.
Yeah.
Although, do we have another movie variant? We do. Oh, it's the Birds of Prey poster.
I quite like it.
But they're getting boring now, just taking the DC movies.
No, I agree. They ran out a little bit ago, let's be honest, of what they had access to, what they owned.
Warner Brothers has been making movies since the goddamn 30s. They've got tons of options.
Let me rephrase. They ran out of things on theme and decided to just go. Look. We all know there's going to be another Deceased book after this, and they've got to save things. They need something impressive for at least the first couple of the next Deceased book to sell gangbusters.
I'm looking up at my shelf right now. They didn't do Road Warrior. They didn't do Logan's Run. They didn't do.
Do you know what? Road Warrior, I don't think is that exciting a poster for them to do, but Logan's Run probably would have been a good one.
There's tons of options.
Well, get on the phone to. Martina did this one. No, he didn't. Ben Oliver did this one.
Time Cop. Where's my Time Cop poster?
Do you know what? I'll give you that one. Just take solace in the fact that they're saving it for the third / fourth Deceased book.
All right, the Dreaming Waking Hours issue 6, that's coming, and then you got Joker Harley Criminal Sanity issue 7, so that's going, as per usual, pretty cover, but
yeah, I mean that's to be expected.
Yeah, Last God issue 12 is there. See, I remembered it. Looney Tunes issue 258, Mad Magazine 18, Other History of the DC Universe. This is buried down here for some reason. That's issue 205, the John Ridley book, which we're definitely going to be checking out when it hits in December. And we got Rorschach issue 4. Obviously, we're doing issue 1 today, so I'll save any of my thoughts on that until we get there. But that's there. We got Sweet Tooth, The Return issue 3, Harley Quinn, The Birds of Prey, The Hunt for Harley. That's obviously right to the young adult. But is it? No, is this the collection of the? It's the collection. Yeah, this is a trade. Yeah, this is the collection of the that recent Palmiotti series. Yeah, I thought we were on to the young adult books.
Do you know what's bizarre? I must be going crazy because when I skimmed these at some point, either yesterday or earlier today, I could have sworn the final issue of Metal was included in these solicits. Yeah, it's not. I'm not seeing it now, so I don't know what I was looking at earlier.
Didn't it get advanced solicits?
I think it did, but because I remember thinking I was confused as to why are they throwing this in again, unless it was a Newsarama have edited out, which is possible.
Which would be weird, but yes. So if there is anything missing because they've taken things out, please be aware of such a thing. Interestingly, the trade for Joker War, which is the Joker War saga, does include a lot of the tie-in stuff. You got Batman 95 to 100, Batgirl 47, Detective Comics 1025, Red Hood 48, Nightwing 74, Joker Warzone issue 1, which would make sense, obviously, and stories from Harley Quinn 75 and Catwoman 25. So they're doing a nice big beefy book It's a
They
hardcover.
are.
I said trade.
Yeah.
It's actually a hardcover, but same difference.
It is. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else interesting in the trades this month, because sometimes stuff kind of surprises me because I don't keep up on all the trades as much as I probably should to get the actual good deals, because these all go on Amazon long before they're actually solicited in here.
Oh, sure, yeah.
There is the Swamp Thing New 52 omnibus, which is all of the Snyder stuff with the Jeff Lemire tie-ins from Animal Man and the Soul stuff that followed as well, if you want everything.
Yes. I would suggest save your money, go get the Snyder Complete Collection, and you can ignore the stuff that came after. There you go.
While the Snyder Complete Collection is very good value for the amount of content it is, and it's a great story, and you should, if you haven't got that, it's worth a read. If you're interested in the Soul stuff, it's pretty good. So this is also good.
This makes me sad.
What?
There's a hardcover called Green Arrow 80 Years of the Emerald Archer, and I'm like, wait, you're not going to do like an 80th anniversary special for Green Arrow? Like,
I honestly think they would have done if things hadn't gone tits up this year.
Okay.
I think it changed a lot of their plans as to what they're going to print. Maybe they heard us complaining about fatigue of these every goddamn month.
I saw a really discerning tweet actually from Sterling Gates like last week, which is because last year was Supergirl's 60th anniversary, and they'd done a couple of things for some of the other characters for their 80th. And apparently at a con, he asked like an executive at DC or Warner Brothers, like, are you doing anything for Supergirl's 60th? And apparently the response was, she has a TV show. That's all the celebration she needs.
That's so shitty.
I know. So I'm just concerned that Green Arrow's getting kind of he's getting this hardcover, sure, but he's got no book right now. He's not getting.
And there's no Future State Green Arrow. Or at least he might be buried in one of the other books, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't got his own thing.
So I think that's notable. They continue with those Bronze Age volumes, which is good. For Swamp Thing, that is. So
do you know what, there was enough in this section that I think we read between, like, Batman Black and White we're probably going to check out, Batman Catwoman Deceased, Rorschach, that it might add up to a reasonable amount each week, especially as we're probably going to be trying pretty much everything from Future State, right?
Most probably. Yeah, it probably works out to be a Black Label book a week, as long as they don't all bunch up in 1 week, the bastards, like, which they're prone to maybe do.
Yeah, like 2 Tom King Black Label books this week.
Yes, which wasn't a big deal this week, but it may be a problem in January if there's a...
Yeah, and obviously there is no Strange Adventures in January. I think, is that going bi-monthly?
I don't think so. Maybe they're just taking the 1 month off.
Yeah, because obviously they're taking
hold on.
a month off.
Let me go check the solicits, because there was a few advanced solicits for the first week of January, so it may just be in that batch. Hold on.
Oh, you're right, it could be. I kind of forget about that. Do you know what? I hate it when they do that, because you do get confused. Like, oh, where's this book? Where's that? It's just, it was in December's solicits for no real reason.
Yeah, I'll just do a wee control F here. So you want 12, because that's to be the American way round, because the date's stupid. Well, it's not 12, it's 1, hon.
It'd be 1,
it's
yeah.
0, 1.
I don't even know if they put 0. I think they just put 1.
Just 1. Okay. And then...
1/ should cover
1/5. Nah, because there's something in, like, one of the number codes, because I tried that, and it went to something else. So the advanced solicits for January from last month were Generation Shattered issue 1, which was in the first week.
Which is what a lot of Future State is probably spinning out of, I think.
I imagine so, yeah. So that'll probably be the first thing we talk about that week. Death Metal 7 is that week, so
it'll probably be Death Metal first, then then Generations, then the Future State. That's going to be a busy week.
Strange Adventures issue 8 that week.
Okay, so that week...
That first week is pretty big. I'll give you...
I think we worked out 9 issues worth of content from the other stuff was on the first week. Plus... Metal, I'm assuming, is oversized for its last issue. I could be wrong, but I'm just going out on a limb.
I can tell. I'm on the page. I can tell you.
Okay.
Watch your horses. It's a little oversized. It's a little oversized. It's 48 pages.
Okay, so it's double. So that's 11 issues worth. Generations that's definitely oversized, right? That's got to be.
I saw it when I first looked at it, and I neglected to mention it because I didn't want to scare you.
Go on.
It's 80 pages.
Right, okay. 80 pages. That's another 4 issues worth. So we're at 15 issues worth, plus Strange Adventures, which is like 1.5. So 16.5, plus anything that happened to be in that main solicits that was not advanced for this week? I don't know if there was anything, admittedly, that we're reading. No, just the Dreaming and Batman Adventures. So, but I mean, yeah, that's a bloody hefty week.
It's an exciting week though, because it's funny because sometimes
nothing in it is bad. Nothing's there going, oh, I don't want to read that.
Sometimes,
like, damn it.
Sometimes you get a big week like that, and it'll make you question a couple of those smaller books that you maybe not been as hot on. You're like, okay, there's like 14 books, and okay, I guess these two are the ones that are going to get cut. This is all either so the first like 3 things are Strange Adventures, which is obviously something we really care about. The End of Metal, a giant one shot resetting the DC universe, which is fascinating, and then all the Future State stuff is all stuff that we want to try. So there's no like weak link of going, hey, that's the thing that we could obviously cut.
Yeah, there's nothing there where I'm going, well, I'll just skip that week. It's like, well, I can't miss Metal, obviously. Can't miss the 80-page Generations. Strange Adventures is a given. Although that feels so weirdly out of place with everything else that week.
That'll be the palate cleanser at the end of the episode.
Yeah, they will have to be. And then we'll have like one of the Batman oversized things, one of the Superman oversized things, whatever it was. It's like, yeah, it's going to be an intense week of reading.
I'll do a proper schedule there, but that's where we stand right now. So, as per usual, Solicits took almost an hour.
To be fair, I as soon as these started coming out this week, I knew this was going to be a long section.
Mm-hmm.
I knew, because this was not easy. You know, this was complicated, like in terms of, okay, these are these books and they're coming out this way, and some are oversized, some are minis, some are one shots. Yeah, it's a lot. Because I don't think, do you know what, I say some are one shots. I don't think we talked about any one shots.
No, I think they're all 2 issues or 4 issues, and then there's that one weird one that's 3 issues.
There is definitely at least one shot somewhere, because in the DC announcement, so the Batman family is broken down into oversized and then monthly miniseries. The Superman family was broken down into oversized and then monthly miniseries and one shots. So at least one of those is a one shot. And I'm seeing the Future State Superman versus Imperious Lex, which was the 3-issue one.
Mm-hmm.
Does not seem to be double shipping, because it says in brackets the end of this 3-issue series ending in March. The one shot is a Future State House of L, which will be in February. So there's a one shot to come in February.
So there's one random one is lingering into March.
There's always one.
And which wouldn't even be that weird to me. See, if it was like one of the main ones, like one of the big ones, I'd be like, okay, that's going to be at the start of March to like sort of realign things or set things up or something. But that one feels so random because it's fairly low down the list.
It's just the Mark Russell one, which,
yeah,
don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to it. It's Mark Russell and Steve Pugh. I like Steve Pugh.
Weird.
But it doesn't feel like the essential book.
Weird, but oh well. 2021 is starting off with things happening.
A bang.
Yeah,
it is determined to make your wallet hurt at the start of the year. Like, usually people spend less in January because they spend a lot for Christmas. This is determined to make you reconsider that next year.
Well, on the upside, you may not have to spend as much in Christmas this year, with the exception of people you live with. You don't necessarily have to.
I still have to send them gifts. I have to see them, but I still have to send them.
No, I mean, just, pandemic, less money. Sorry, family. Bye-bye.
Well, it's all right for you. You're a single child. I got brothers and stuff that I've got to acknowledge.
just fake your death. It's fine.
Tempting.
Yes. I'm more than willing to help.
Oh, I bet you are. I would not trust you to stick to the fake part.
So this is a trick blade, right? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty sure.
This is trick machete. Don't worry. It's designed to retract. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So there you go. That is Solicits. Future State is coming. Lots going on. I will say I'm fascinated by this. Some of the stuff reminds me, actually, even though I never actually got around to reading this, and I will at some point someday, it reminds me a little bit when things changed in Superman after New Krypton, where you had Mon-El as like the acting Superman, and you had Nightwing and Flamebird in the Greg Rucka Action Comics, and you had Superwoman was in Supergirl. At least the super part reminds me of that. And then Batman, kind of similar, just on its own corner, doing its own variations.
I think what's interesting is I would not be surprised to see them return to this universe. Not
No.
maybe like in the same way, like pause everything and go to this, but the books that find an audience that resonate with people, some of it might get integrated just into the core line, but others we might kind of go, here's a mini series set in this world or a one shot, whatever they decide to do. Maybe maybe even straight to trade, like Image and others are experimenting with that lately. The OGNs. Maybe they'll want to kind of try that a bit more. Kind of almost replace the Earth One line, which is kind of going nowhere. Kind of maybe try this instead.
Maybe. I could see it just being like there'll be crossover events where there's some time travel involved, or let's be honest, this will likely just end up becoming another Earth so that they can cross over directly with it without it being the future of what our characters are. Even though that's what they are right now, it's a possible future. In a couple of years' time, if we see them again, it's probably just going to be an alternate Earth just to make life easy.
Probably.
That's what
That's
happens.
okay. That's the beauty of the multiverse.
I
mean, they might even actively shunt them into a separate Earth at the end of this series, like at the end of this event. That might be how they kind of wrap it up.